Hello again. Most of you are probably watching this on my Facebook page or my Twitter or something like that. If you're not, then you're probably watching this on my website, mymoviethoughts.com. In which case, hello, my name's John. If you missed my worst of the year, you can check that out too. I introduced myself. It's more of a discussion type video, fun, building up the suspense for the end of the year. What's my best movie of the year gonna be? I think that's more fun. Finally got the worst of the year done, get out all the rage, and now I get to talk about my favorite movies of the year, and I spent a lot more time carefully crafting this list. Keep in mind that this is a subjective, me loving the crap out of these movies list. Your list isn't going to look the same as mine. If it does, then that's weird. But feel free to leave your lists in the comments below, whether that be on Facebook, YouTube, My Movie Thoughts, or send me a reply on Twitter. I missed some good movies this year too, like Imitation Game just opened in my local theater, like the day I'm filming this, it's opening. I heard Selma was great too. That doesn't open in my local theater till like halfway through January for some reason. But other than that, I saw most of the good movies that came out this year. 35 movies, that's pretty good, at least in my opinion. So here are my favorites of the year, of all the greats that I saw this year, starting with number 10. Now, number 10 was a weird one because I had numbers 1 through 9 finalized like last week. But number 10 was the one where I was flipping positions in and out, and I was trying to decide what movie to put in. I had 22 Jump Street in there at one point, the movie that made me laugh the most this year. I had Interstellar there a couple times. That flipped in like once and then was quickly out again. And then like, one more time I contemplated putting it in. Contemplate, that's like a word they use in Interstellar. Nightcrawler was actually there for most of the time. But then I saw a really cool movie, the last movie I saw in 2014. And that was The Hobbit, The Battle of the Five Armies. Some people have said, oh, it's just one long battle the entire 2.5 hours. And yeah, there's a lot of action in it, but each of the characters has their own cool set of, like, Thorin has his thing, Bilbo has his thing, Gandalf has his thing, and each of them just builds up, and it creates this one cohesive story that meets really well in the middle. And I have the most respect for that, if they can take smaller stories and blend them into just this one huge, grand movie. That's going to make my top 10 of the year. Number 9, Big Hero 6, definitely. Baymax, the most adorable thing on screen this year by far. I love how it felt like a Pixar movie with all of its sweet emotion. This movie had me laughing out loud. All of the characters were great, and I'm so excited to see part 2. I guess that's Big Hero 7. Alright, this is where any teenage dude watching this is about to start massacring me in the comments. The Fault in Our Stars at number 8. The past couple years, romantic comedies have always been my number one. Like in 2012, it was Silver Linings Playbook. Last year, it was A Spectacular Now. The Fault in Our Stars was not only acted extremely well, but it had characters that you cared about, and the most likable characters on screen this year by far. And I love when a movie can surprise me, because I didn't think the book for Fault in Our Stars was that great. I thought it was okay, but it translated to the big screen so well. Not only was it like this beautiful romantic comedy either, but it was also a great coming-of-age story for the two characters in it. And that's not bad. Number 7. This is where the teenage dudes, I'm getting you guys back on my side, because number 7 is Captain America the Winter Soldier. Captain America the Winter Soldier had the best action that I saw on screen this year by far. It was all this realistic action that wasn't like Iron Man, all the CGI flying around the screen. It wasn't Transformers where you can't see anything that's going on. Click this annotation for my top 5 worst of the year if you want more information on that. This movie also took what Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was trying to be, and it just gave it all this relevance, these relevant characters, a relevant script, a relevant storyline, really relevant direction from the Russo brothers. I loved Captain America the Winter Soldier. Another gritty action-ish movie this year was Edge of Tomorrow, which I considered putting here, but when Captain America the Winter Soldier just completely enhances the first one as well as itself, then I'm putting it in here over Edge of Tomorrow. But great job, Edge of Tomorrow. Number 6. This is where the heavy hitters start coming in. These are the ones where I go from, oh, I really liked numbers 10 through 7, to where I loved numbers 6 through 1. Number 6, Guardians of the Galaxy. Guardians of the Galaxy was the most fun I had in the theater this year by far. And I was watching this, laughing at everything. I loved the action and all of the characters were these instant classics. The soundtrack I bought the next day, and it just phenomenal all the way through. I saw it 3 times in the theater and I enjoyed every one, laughed out loud every time. And I can't wait for Guardians 2 in May 2017. Number 5, there were a lot of movies this year that kind of went back and forth, whether I was putting them on the list or not. You saw with number 10, and movies kept flipping positions around, but a movie I never had to worry about leaving this list was Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. Dawn of the Planet of the Apes had this script to it that just felt tragic the entire way through. It was like a heavy drama, not just a summer blockbuster that you go to and eat popcorn with. Dawn of the Planet of the Apes had a fantastic performance by Andy Serkis. It had elements from The Dark Knight Rises, it had elements from the predecessor Rise of the Planet of the Apes. as well as just these other great war movies. This movie stands really well on its own as just a war movie in general. And props to director Matt Reeves, who a lot of people had doubts of going in, but he did a great job, so props to him too. Now, numbers 4, 3, and 2, I was flipping around for days. If you ask me yesterday, number 4, 3, and 2 would all be in a different order. If you ask me tomorrow, 4, 3, and 2 will probably also be in a different order. But here's the order we're going with for today. Birdman was a triumphant film. And that's such a film critic word, so I'm not going to use it again, but triumphant was the way to describe Birdman. It had these brilliant performances from all of the actors in it. It had this emotional storyline. I'm a theater person, so I loved seeing how this play was coming together somehow. All the performances just complemented that. The story was great. The direction was unbelievably awesome. I would love to see Alexander Gonzalez Inarritu, I think his name is. I probably butchered that, but my bad. I'd love to see him win the Best Direction Oscar, but I'll probably go to Linklater. But he's not on this list, so good job, Inarritu. It also had just these deep themes of relevance and living in general and how you go about your life every day, and I thought that was so cool. And like I said, if you asked me yesterday, this was at number 3. If you ask me tomorrow, it could be number 2, but like I said, number 4 for now. So just keep in mind all these flipping around. Number 3, we got Gone Girl. Gone Girl was a movie I was expecting to just be a really solid David Fincher crime thriller, and I would have enjoyed it all the way through. But it had the most well-rounded characters of all of 2014, more so than any other movie on this list by far. All of these characters felt so real, even when they're kind of have these absurd quirks to them, or they're kind of far-fetched. Each of them was so fleshed out and so rounded out. Had a great script by Gillian Flynn, who was adapting her own novel. Props to her. I hope she gets a nomination for Best Adapted Screenplay. Gone Girl wasn't a completely dark and depressing kidnapping movie the entire way through, but it was just this greatly paced, dark thriller that really just kept you magnetized to the screen. Magnetized is another film critic word I'm going to try not to use again, but magnetized, just on the screen the entire time. Number 2, Gone Girl was at number 2 for a while, until last week, when I saw Whiplash. Man, I put Whiplash at number 2 on this list and not number 3 or 4, like I said, they keep changing. Because I can't relate to making a big Broadway comeback, and I can't relate to having my wife kidnapped and going through all of that. But what I can relate to is wanting to do something more than anything else in the world, having a passion for something. And that's what made Whiplash so great. The performances are just out of the park, just home run grand slams, sports analogies flying around of how great they are. J.K. Simmons is probably a lock to win the Oscar on this one. Miles Teller probably should get a nomination, but like I said, just stacked again this year. Not only that, but this movie's directed really well. It has this haunting imagery of just the blood on the drums. I loved every minute of Whiplash, and I'm so glad I got to see it because like I said, it was in such a small release I barely got to. But there was no question this year what my number 1 was. The past few years I've been doing this list, and an art house film has always beaten a fun movie or a superhero movie or an action movie or something. Let's check it out. 2010, 2011, 2012, 2013. But this year, not going to happen, because the movie this year with the best direction, the best characters, the deepest morals, the deepest themes, the best screenplay, and the best hands down everything, by far, was X-Men Days of Future Past. There's no cutaway, there's no joke. I'm serious. I'm absolutely serious. Because this movie took characters with performances from Hugh Jackman and James McAvoy, the latter of which is just Oscar-worthy in this movie. He's brought such an emotional tone to Professor X. And then you take other performances like Jennifer Lawrence and Peter Dinklage, showing just this emotion throughout the entire film. And it could easily become just this sappy story of how, oh, we need to get something done. But no, it never felt that way. The stakes always felt high in this movie. And not only was that great, but the direction was great. This movie felt like it was the perfect runtime. During the last few months of the year, if you guys have been reading my reviews, I've been complaining a lot about a movie feeling way too long, Exodus, Gods and Kings, or a movie feeling way too short, The Hobbit, Battle of the Five Armies. But X-Men Days of Future Past, I think it was 2 hours and 3 minutes long. It felt like it was 2.5, but I was never complaining about how long it was because every single minute of this movie felt relevant. The script was absolutely fantastic. All these characters interacted with each other the perfect way. But above all else, the social implications and the themes in this movie are what just drove it past every other movie of this year for me. Because the social implications were fantastic. You look at this Holocaust-esque future, and it's just so bleak and dreary, and you're thinking about our society today. Segregation's been abolished in the US for decades, but there's still these racial differences that are occurring. You go beyond that and you go deeper and deeper and deeper, and you see how it's really about being yourself, and how you can always make the right choices, and how the future's never truly certain, like they say in the movie. I don't know, maybe I can just relate to that personally, but I thought that it was executed so perfectly throughout the entire movie. These themes they were always on the surface, but you didn't have to see them if you didn't want to. And that's what was so perfect about this movie. I wasn't a huge X-Men fanboy going into this either. I had only seen the first X-Men. I've gone back and watched all of them since then, even the bad ones. But I'd seen the first X-Men, and Days of Future Past floored me when I saw it. You don't have to be an X-Men fanboy to relate to this movie. You don't even have to be a comic book movie fanboy to relate to this movie. You basically just have to be a person. If you are currently breathing right now or have a pulse, you can relate to X-Men Days of Future Past in one way or another for what I just said. The only thing that I thought was wrong with this movie and could have been polished up a little bit more was nothing. There was nothing wrong with this movie. X-Men Days of Future Past was simply a perfect film. It was the movie I saw this year that truly was an experience. I'll never forget how I felt watching X-Men Days of Future Past for the first time in the theater. It's movies like X-Men Days of Future Past that just make me love movies and continue doing these reviews. X-Men Days of Future Past is my favorite movie of the year because X-Men Days of Future Past, honest to God, and I've been waiting all year to say it, is absolutely, definitely, positively a 5 out of 5. Well, that's my pick for the best movie of 2014, the top 10 best movies of 2014. I hope you guys enjoyed this list. Like I said, be sure to leave your comments down below, whether it be Facebook, YouTube, My Movie Thoughts, or reply to me on Twitter what your favorite was, and I'd love to get a discussion going with some of you guys. And just a big thank you to all of you who were tuning in this year to my site. I get that it's kind of hard to just like read through these endless paragraphs of reviews, but I'm doing them in bullet points now, so maybe that'll encourage people to like tune in 2015 more so. But yeah, shout out to everybody who kept watching throughout the year. I appreciate all of the support, and I can't wait to make 2015 even better.